future in communications lies in utilizing digital technologies in new ways to capture important messages and creatively package them using multimedia platforms. Nemisa, an institution of higher learning established in 1998, introduced creative multimedia programs in 2001. There is no doubt that information and communications technologies are revolutionizing societies and economies. This is why the fourth revolution has been dubbed as a digital one. To discuss, I am joined in studio by Mymoena Ismail, CEO of Nemisa. Welcome. Great to have you with us. As CEO, I'm sure you wouldn't disagree with my last statement.
No, not at all.
Who are you targeting when you market your multimedia courses?
It's interesting because on the one hand, we are targeting South Africans as a whole. The mandate of Nemisa has obviously been expanded based on the one that you've just read out or mentioned. Key for South Africa at the moment is literally in terms of how are we going to leverage the uptake of the digital infrastructure for digital opportunities. Okay. And so with the conversions of technology, the infrastructure, the content, the skills, we have to relook at our ecosystem for a future market. And therefore we are touching every South African, those who are not yet digitally literate, to the very decision maker in terms of driving a digital economy, digital society going forward.
Sure. Give us a little bit more insight on the course itself.
The courses for that Nemisa, well, a couple of things. Our model has changed in the last couple of years. We are working with our universities. We've established about 6 co-laboratories across the country, hosting at universities and really bringing together a platform for business, government, education and civil society to collaborate. The courses that we are developing is very much aligned to what is needed for South Africa to grow our economy. And this ranges from your post-graduate qualification in terms of software development or infrastructure development, as well as that of animation, radio broadcasting, TV, content production, as well as animation. Mm-hmm. So it ranges from how we leverage ICTs. It's new skills, new competencies that needs to be developed in South Africa.
There's so many jobs being advertised in the multimedia space. Would you say as an emerging economy, to some degree, we are lagging behind in skills if you have to compare to the pace of internet use in developed economies?
Indeed, I think just recent studies have shown that South Africa is doing well within the regulatory space, but when it comes to skills, we are falling behind, especially if we're talking about new skills for a digital future. The second finding that is important for South Africa is that 22 million people in South Africa is still unconnected. So if we're talking about deep rural communities, then yes, we do have a challenge both in terms of reach, but also a responsibility in terms of how do we educate our citizenry within those communities. So.
Sure. Are there any collaboration partners between yourself and governments at the moment when it comes to skills development that is spreading the use of digital technologies?
Well, I think that's the new founded mandate for Nemisa. We are a state-owned entity reporting directly to the Department of Telecommunications and Postal Services. That particular department is responsible for driving or transforming South Africa into a digital economy, digital society. The mandate is quite broad. Yes, we're talking about infrastructure, but we also have to look in terms of what are the digital opportunities presented by by the infrastructure. And that's when Nemisa comes in from a skills development perspective, but also our other sister entities in terms of the kind of policies, local government opportunities that needs to come in terms of providing government services through digitization. So the ecosystem is being pulled together by the Department of Telecommunications and Postal Services, but it's still early days for us. Sure. We have got lots of work to do as a country, as a entity. We have got lots to do in terms of getting our message out into South Africa.
Sure. You've introduced this course in 2001. What has the uptake been like? And also give us a sense of what a South African can experience when signing up for your program.
It's very interesting, because we were just recently in Parliament in front of the Select Committee, and the very question was asked. And numbers is often seen as the most important figure to be present. What we have found is that yes, we have made inroads into the industry. By training individuals, making sure that there is people from previously disadvantaged communities, especially women, that is part of the broadcasting sector. But that's only one sector. In the last 3 years, we are happy to say that we have actually impacted more than 22,000 people, not only with current skills and capabilities, but also with future skills and capabilities. So it's looking at the entire ecosystem. You're looking at the curriculum that needs to be re-looked at in South Africa as a result of broadband infrastructure. We're looking at the new future job market that needs to be taken into account, and more importantly, the new skills and competencies that is required.
Sure.
Collaboration is not taught. One of our participating universities did some research in the mobile phone and a course around that, and we discovered that youngsters in grade 11 and 12, if they're introduced to mobile apps development, they can already move into an entrepreneurship market post-matric. So these are the new changes that we need to look at in terms of not developing courses for the sake of courses, or alternatively getting people into doing a course to find a job, but really start unlocking the potential for SMME development as well.
That's very inspiring. 22,000 is a good number. It's a good place to start. It's a big number, 22,000 in fact. So this is a great contribution to the economy, no doubt. What is the buy-in though for your courses from the corporate sector, from the private sector? What has that been like?
It's varied, to be honest with you, in the sense that most of the new courses that we have developed is done through multi-stakeholder collaboration. So we try to bring government, business, education, and civil society around the table to look in terms of what is needed for both business and also government, as well as just communities on its own. So new courses, new developments have come into play that is applicable to the need. To give you one example, which is not necessarily multimedia related, but just to show what we have done through a collaborative approach, is that we've actually we've tested a program for the growth of business analysts in the country. And we tried to test it with unemployed BSOC science students, BA students, graduates, to see whether there is an uptake to business analytics. What we found is that they actually produce better analysts than what your BICT graduate or BCom ICT graduate developed at the end of the day. So the opportunities are humongous for South Africa, provided that we, business, government, education, and civil society, meet each other in terms of what is the need. Because you can't be developing an individual and then once they have been trained, before they get into employment, they have to be retrained in order to start work.
Sure.
So it's a double investment.
Mm-hmm. How are you moving your course forward currently?
Currently, we are in the process of, Nemisa is in the process of transition. There is a bill underway which is called the ICAMBA National E-Skills Institute. It's driven by the Department of Telecommunications and Postal Services. What we are doing at the moment is that we're doing our national environmental scans to see the relevance of what we are doing, looking at the new opportunities, and hopefully we'll be coming up with new innovations, new courses that is relevant for the South African economy to grow.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Pleasure.